All right, so today I wanted to do something in relation to what happened with Ian in Florida. First off, I'd like to say to anyone that's able to watch us down in that area that went through that hurricane, our thoughts and prayers are with you guys. It's really sad to me because Florida is an absolute hotbed of classic cars.
Yeah.
Fort Myers, a lot of those areas along the coast.
Bradenton, huge car community there.
Big, huge car community. They have a big cruise in over in Orlando where they used to. They would have 300-400 cars show up on a Saturday night.
Yeah. Everything I've ever gone to for car community in Florida has always been to the nines.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. So my hearts go out to you guys. Hopefully, most everybody did pretty well with this. I do know that there was some loss of life, and again, that is very, very sad. What I wanted to talk to you guys about today, though, is actually, oddly enough, insurance. You know I'm going to ask you a question because of what we're talking about
I got a feeling I know it.
Is the 66 Mustang insured?
No. It got insurance taken off about 2 days after it blew up. Yeah.
You know...
Bad.
You know that you should have insurance on that car,
Yeah,
even
absolutely.
if it's sitting idle, because if we had tornadoes or hail or
if
whatever,
something happened to it, got bodily damage that it couldn't be easily fixed, yeah, it needed insurance.
it'd be done.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a bummer because, I mean, that's something that you guys need to be thinking about too. Whenever this kind of thing's going on, if you have a car that's sitting out, you can still get insurance on it. You probably can't get great insurance on a car that sits out because most companies today don't do that. It has to be inside of a secured garage.
That's
whatever that means.
And that's where I came up short on insurance on that, is I didn't have a place to park it inside, so I couldn't get any meaningful insurance.
Yeah, and that's really an issue for some guys because guys don't necessarily, a lot of guys work with a carport. I've got a buddy of mine in Florida that's up in the Ocala area who's got a car that he keeps under a carport because that's all he has.
Yeah, at best, that's the best I could do.
Yeah, and so that kind of stuff makes it a lot harder for it to get insured. But car insurance companies, the standard companies that are everybody insures, are getting better with that. Yes. So, did you know that your homeowner insurance does not cover your car if it's in the garage in the house?
Yes, I actually did know that because insurance companies are stingy.
I thought you were going to say something else.
Yeah, home insurance. I almost did. I had to stop myself.
Well, I mean, it's not even that. I mean, I get why they do that because you already have automotive insurance on the cars. You should.
Yeah.
So if you have a car that's in a situation where, and cars can cause problems for homes, like most of the time in an insurance situation, it's a car that's caught fire in the garage and it sets the house on fire, not the other way around. Now there are instances where you have like
house fire, garage.
Where like forest fires coming through California, and but
still your auto policy would take over your auto rather than your home.
Exactly, but you shouldn't think that your homeowner's insurance is going to cover anything. Like if you have a tornado come through and blast the car out of the garage, flip it over out there in the grass, you should have automotive insurance on the car because the household insurance is not going to cover it.
It's no longer in the house.
It's not in the house. It's out there in the field somewhere. So just remember that. Don't assume that your household insurance is going to cover your car with any kind of damage from a storm or whatever. Did you know that your classic car, if you have insurance on it with one of the automotive specialty insurance companies, and they have that caveat that it has to be in a garage, if the car is outside of the garage and they can determine that after a storm, your claim could possibly be denied. And that's one of the reasons why you see all this stuff back behind me. All of these cars have that type of insurance on them, so everything got put into a garage before Ian's nothingness hit us. We were really fortunate. We did not get anything off of Ian like at all.
Yeah, we were quoted for like 30, 40 mile an hour sustained winds. I don't think we even got 15 mile an hour at my house.
Your house probably didn't. We got pretty good wind here. I mean, we actually got some gust up in the 30s.
It was like a mild rain and mild windstorm.
We didn't get hardly any rain until yesterday.
Yeah.
I mean, we got a little bit of rain yesterday and that was it, but before that we didn't. We mostly got wind. Wind was the biggest thing, and it was on the day that I didn't think we were going to get wind. Thursday, when I'm trying to put cars up, the wind is just pretty much howling around here, and you can watch in the pine trees doing the little sway that they like.
Thursday got really gusty at my house, but Friday was mostly just calm or steady.
Yeah, it calmed out after about probably 10 o'clock in the morning, and I just watched the radar, and it just went off to one side of it. We got some spitting rain, and that was about it. So to go back to that, though, if your car is not in the garage and it gets flipped over, turtle in the storm, you may not get insurance coverage by your classic car coverage people. That sounded weird, but that's what I'm trying to say. So I got a letter the other day, like probably 4 days before Ian got to be really serious, when it was still down in the Cuban areas, forming itself up. And the letter basically said that if you live in the path of a hurricane, you should move your car to a secure location rather than leaving it in your garage.
Yeah. Makes sense to me.
On the blush of it, it sounds kind of crappy.
Yeah.
It sounds like they're just trying to cover their butt.
I don't want to file that insurance claim. Or I don't want
to have to pay that
yeah,
insurance claim. And that's what it sounds like. And in a way, it's true.
Yeah.
Because they're in the business.
The company's best interest is to not have to pay you anything.
But it's also in your best interest to not to have to claim anything.
Yeah.
Like, if your car gets damaged, you have to go and find somebody to do the repairs. You have to get those repairs done. You got to find parts for the car, especially if it's something in the 1960s and 70s. I mean, that's a 50-some-odd-year-old car now.
And then you just have the mental drag of your car is destroyed.
Yeah, and I mean, you may even be in a position where...
Here's your check, though.
Here's a nice check. What is it the guy used to say on Iron... it was one of the shows on TV where he talked about, you dry his tears with $100 bills.
Yeah.
But most guys aren't those guys.
No.
I'm not that guy.
Yeah.
I mean, if my 72 Mach 1 got destroyed in a storm, I would be very
even
upset.
if my 66 got hit, I'd be pretty mad.
Yeah.
Even though I have...
Even though it's your fault. But it's one of those, that's just it. So you get the letter and they say to move the cars. My next point on that is, if you have multiple cars, where do you take them?
Yeah.
We've got these cars in here, plus the two you can't see. We've got the Fairlane in Studio A. We had the 72 in the main garage on the house.
Yeah, I mean, combined, we at least have 10 projects between us.
So let's say we were going to move 6 of them because these are the ones that matter.
Six high valuable ones.
Yeah.
Where do you put them?
Where are we going to take them?
Yeah.
And I mean, it's not an indictment of the insurance company
or
yourself. Yeah. It's just a question of logistics.
Yeah, you would have to, at least a state or two away, you'd really want to put them.
Yeah, with a hurricane the size Ian was,
yeah.
I mean, that was a big son of a gun. He covered up almost half the state of Florida.
Yeah.
Where are you going to go?
Yeah.
Even all the way up into Ocala, they were getting flooding and rain. I mean, they were getting plenty of bad things happening up that way. So I don't know. I mean, I get what they're doing, and it makes sense to me what they said in the letter. But like the guy with the Daytonas, I mean, you guys have probably seen photos of the two Dodge Daytonas that were flipped turtle from the guy's garage inside. There's been all kinds of stuff done about it. There's tons of videos out there about it. I'm going to only go into the detail of the fact that he did move 2 of his cars because he felt like those 2 Daytonas being up on the lift would be secure enough. The storm surge for Ian was 15 foot, which means wave caps could have probably been higher than that. The surge is only the water level. That doesn't mean what the waves are actually doing. So the waves battered down the doors of the garage and they sucked both of those cars out and flipped them turtle on the ground.
Yep. And put them on a lift. The best thing really you can do as a homeowner.
As a safety precaution, if we have, 6 foot of water in here?
What else can you do?
We're dead.
Yeah. You got way
It's the end of the world.
You got way bigger problems than a car right now.
We're doing water world at that point. You're sailing around like Kevin Costner on a boat.
Looking out for soccer balls with handprints on them.
Wilson! Oh my God. Let's see, once again, that isn't even remotely what I was talking about, but there you go, just ticking me off in a different direction. So, there was also the McLaren, was it a P1 McLaren?
I think so,
something like that.
Yeah,
it was a supercar that the guy... Brand new.
From what I understand, either bought it that week or like the day before, something along those lines.
Yeah, I'm not even going to go into that because I don't know what the story behind the car is. I just saw the pictures of it sitting in the water outside of his house.
Yeah, it was inside
and
of his
it floated outside of his house. And it's the same thing. But what I want to go into right now is the whether they will. Because my point on that is the Dodges, though they were pretty heavily damaged by mostly bump hits and things and being flipped turtle on the roofs.
They didn't look structurally damaged. I didn't see any like huge alignment issues on them. Because
the base prices on those cars, the lowest price they've gone through at auction is $165,000. So you could conceivably spend $65,000, $70,000, $80,000 on that car for a restoration again.
And not be totaled out.
And not be totaled out. And that's what your insurance is for. And I'm assuming that he had insurance, and I'm assuming that they are going to take care of him because he did everything in his power to keep those cars out of the weather. He did take the 2 cars that were on the ground and move them out. So this shows a guy who really gives a crap about his cars. But the McLaren,
Yeah, no, that's totaled.
that's a total loss.
Yeah.
It's got to be because that car is so heavily electronic.
Yeah.
It's not even funny. And salt water just going to kill it.
So, fresh water is one thing, but salt water is 10 times worse.
And for electricals especially.
Yeah, it gets into everything, and then just corrosion starts in every single piece of scrap wire.
I can't even imagine what it would cost to replace the electronics on a McLaren. The Dodge would be a little bad.
Yeah.
But I mean,
I would imagine that just the wiring harness in the McLaren probably costs more than every vehicle I own right now.
that's not saying much.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
So what? Maybe $1.50, $2?
maybe $3,000.
I gotta believe it's more than $3,000. I mean, like we were talking about this off camera earlier. It's like with the Dodge, the wiring harness and that thing is like using semaphore and Morse code.
Yeah.
And this one's using
like Cat 5 internet. Yeah.
a Cray computer.
Yeah.
I know Cray's probably not the thing anymore.
I don't
Whatever
even know what either one of those
whatever
are.
the hottest computer is in the world, that's the level of difference between the Daytona and the McLaren. Because it's just that's how it is.
Yeah, Stone Age versus Internet Age.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I mean, we're talking about that.
But Dodges might still even have points. You never know.
Yeah, it could. I mean, if they're fully restored, which a lot of the guys with those Daytonas are doing that, they're going to want it dead Mutt's original.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he even had
don't even have any ignition modules or anything.
I mean, he had 14-inch wheels on it with the the race white letter tires. That guy probably has points on that distributor. Maybe a Pertronics. Even so, it's all wrecked and it needs to be redone. But my point being that the McLaren is probably a total loss because of the amount of crap that you're going to have to redo on it, whereas the Dodge, you get some stuff that you can spray out the seams and make sure everything's not getting, you can get all the salt water out of it. Put some kind of cavity wax or something in there to clean all that up and make sure it doesn't rust
That'll
again.
be the biggest job is neutralizing the salt water in the chassis if they restore
and it's a Dodge. And I mean, this is nothing personal to you Dodge guys. I'm not whacking on you about this, but Dodges are probably the worst chassis for rust.
Yep.
I've seen more rust. I've seen California, LA cars that are Dodges that have rust on them.
They're bad.
They're bad. I love them. Deanna would take a Charger in a heartbeat. So that's really it. I want to kind of go into what happened with Ian because that was a humongous storm and it created a lot of damage. I feel for the 2 guys that lost their cars and the families of those folks that actually lost lives in the hurricane. It was pretty bad. Could have been much worse. There have been other storms that we know of that have been worse than this one, but
I think it was one of the hardest hits Florida's taken from a storm.
it is in a long, long time. I think there was one back in the 90s that had them change their building procedures in the state of Florida. That was worse, and I can't think of the name of it, so I'm not going to say it. But I mean, I know that when I lived in the area down there in Lakeland, Florida, when we put a house up down there, we had to go to all these extra lengths with the construction.
Hurricane cert.
Yeah. You have to do hurricane certs. Of course, some of these guys are greasing palms and they're not necessarily doing it. Those are the houses that you see sitting off to one side of their foundation. That's really it. Just insure your car. If you got something, even if it's a project car, insure it.
Don't be me.
Don't be him.
It's a good plan. Good general plan. Don't do what I do.
Whatever he's doing, don't do it.
Don't do it.
Yeah, because he's...
Not smart.
I've tried. I really have tried. I guess that's it. Do me a favor, folks. Go ahead and check out the Patreon account. At the $10 a month level, you get monthly meetings with me. Also, if we've done anything to help you out at all, maybe consider putting a little bit of money in there. You don't have to do the $10 a month level. You can do less than that. I'm okay with that. You don't even have to do anything at all. If you don't feel like I'm giving you any value for your free views, okay, I get it. I mean, I'm like that too. If you don't have the money and you got all your money going to your car, definitely. But if you can spare a couple of bucks, put it in the Patreon account. I don't see a dime of it. It goes to the kids and it goes to Andrew for coming in here and editing and helping me to do what I do. So I don't see any of that cash. So it's going other places. So I'm actually helping employ a person that would normally be on the government dole or working at putt-putt. Oh wait, he's working at putt-putt. See, we need to get him out of putt-putt. Also, so Subscribe to the channel. We're at like 95,132. Not that I'm keeping track. But I want 100,000 by Christmas. If you guys know channels that would be willing to support us and get us to that mark, I don't care if it's Mr. Beast. Talk to him. Tell him we need peeps. We need like, what, 4,932 people.
Many as you got.
We want that. So if you know channels that would help us out, let them know, hey, these guys are trying to get to 100,000. It's only taken 12 years. And I promise that after this, I'm done. I'm not talking about it again because by the time we get to 200,000, I'll probably be so dang old I won't even remember that I need to get to 200,000.
What's that YouTube thing again?
I remember the days when I was on YouTube. Now the kids are running, it's turned to stuff. All right, be kind to each other, love each other, treat each other nice. We'll see you next time on Autorestomod.
Yeah.
Woo! Watch the rest of it and you know why that was such a struggle. All right, folks, we went way off on that one. Boondocks. Be kind to each other, love each other, treat each other nice. You guys have a great week. We'll see you on down the road. I just said the wrong English. All right, be kind to each other, love each other, treat each other nice. You guys have a great week, and we'll see you next time on Autorestomod. I did it wrong again.
Almost. Kind of close, though.
This has got to be the end. We'll just stack those up at the end.
boop, 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 boop.
Be kind to each other, love each other, treat each other nice, and we'll see ya. That's what I'm doing wrong. Is that what?
We'll see you next time on Autorestomod.
That's right. That's it. I'd like to say that I'd like to say that all these are fake, but some of them aren't. Some of them are. You have to decide which one.